Hey folks, back again with ancient stuff. Um, see, I wanted to show this. There's a new movie on Netflix, and it seems like a lot of people on YouTube and Rumble and stuff are all making videos. There was somebody I was following for some reason called the Lotus Eaters that made two videos in a row about this, like some Scottish people or something that are that huffy about Cleopatra being played by like a, mulatto actress. And so, all y'all are making your videos about this. I'll make a video at least touching on it and say this is very revealing about white people, about modern Egyptians. Like modern Egyptians, the lawyers are mostly white. The population, a lot of them look like her, because I was there a lot, in 2021. Everywhere you go, there's a lot of people that look about like her. But the lawyers, they're white, so they're suing. They're like, and it's pretty funny too, because they're suing about somebody who they claim was Greek. So I'm not sure why they give a shit. They're not Greek. It's like so bizarre. It's just the ultimate suck up for all the semi-whites and honorary whites to like prove their whiteness by like rallying to this ridiculous cause. So anyway, suffice it to say, it's fucking ridiculous. Cleopatra has been played by like pale, Anglo actresses for generations. Nobody cared. The Greeks didn't care, even though she wasn't played by a Greek. I guarantee she didn't look like all those Anglos. And honestly, historically, there were Greeks that looked like that. The further back you go in Greece and you look at the paintings, they are darker than that. Their skin color, the pigment they use to paint the skin color is darker than her. So if anything, if she was an ancient Greek like a Minoan or something, you'd have to complain that she's not dark enough. Although I guess they say that she was from, from wherever Alexander was from. So it's like further north, so maybe lighter skin. But anyways, fucking ridiculous. So anyway, this just to show you guys why you're not like so smart, or I mean, hopefully my viewers are not this ridiculous, but just to show why all these haters are not like correct. This is from the BBC from like several years ago. Cleopatra, the last African pharaoh renowned for her beauty, was part African, says a BBC team which believes it has found her sister's tomb. All right, so there's people who would like just, are white nationalists, so they would just immediately dismiss that without having any idea what it's about. They should not be allowed into science, they should not be allowed to nobody should listen to these rabid monkeys trying to talk about science when all they care about is just promoting white people. Queen Cleopatra was a descendant of Ptolemy, the Macedonian general. Oh yeah, Macedonia. So that's a little further north. So I guess they would say, they would have lighter skin. But even that's not guaranteed, because there's people way up in the Caucasus or, even up in Russia that have kind of dark skin. Queen Cleopatra was a descendant of Ptolemy, the Macedonian general who ruled Egypt after Alexander the Great. But remains of the queen's sister, Princess Arsinoe, found in Ephesus, Turkey, indicate that her mother had an African skeleton. The discovery was made by Heike Thur of the Austrian Academy of Sciences. It is unique in the life of an archaeologist to find the tomb and the skeleton of a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty. So basically, the idea is that even though the Ptolemies or whatever largely intermarried with Greeks, that they may have also intermarried with Egyptians, or at least interbred with Egyptians. That Arsinoe had an African mother is a real sensation, which leads to a new insight on Cleopatra's family and the relationship of the sisters Cleopatra and Arsinoe. They lived at a turbulent time when the Roman Empire was extending its power across the Mediterranean. So anyway, my point is, this is the reality. The reality is we don't know exactly what Cleopatra looked like. There might be some paintings that are somewhat contemporary, but no paintings from that old have intact paint, so you're not going to know what color things were or people were. So, just this fiction that's floating around the internet now that, like, we know she was a white Greek lady is a fictional nonsense, but, so that's all I'm saying. And I'm saying if people are going to spew fiction and not acknowledge that there's many scientists who disagree on this question, then get the fuck out of, then that's deception. Then get out of science. Get out of, don't lie about history. I think lying is a form of assault, and, no sympathy for liars, even if you're doing it for your people or your skin color or whatever you think you're doing it for. So let's see. There are two. Oh yeah, and I was talking about, this is a very related topic about human sacrifice. The fact that Britannica admits that most accusations of human sacrifice are lies and have always been lies, even going back to ancient times, that the majority of claims have always been lies. That's what they say. And they point out that Christians and Jews were both, identified as engaging in human sacrifice up until the time that the Christians took power and then dispelled these libels, and then the Jews got a little, less disempowered or something, and they helped dispel that one. But the Aztecs never got power, so Britannica is still going to libel them. And yet the things that they say about, they say this about Egypt and Africa and the Middle East, where even though it's actually been described in a whole bunch of other places, not just here, of like the retinue being buried with the king, but it's so hard to prove that they were actually all killed at the same time. Like maybe they died separate times and were put into the same tomb, so that's pretty sketchy. But then there's stuff about the Aztecs and Mayans is just like, they don't even try to show that they have any evidence for it. They just say, that, they just say that's what it is. The Aztecs and Mayans love to sacrifice people. And where the hell that one went? But anyway, like my point is, there's no more evidence for the Aztec and Mayan sacrifices than there is for the Christian and Jewish claims that the Christians and Jews sacrifice people. They're both just, some of their enemies claimed like, oh yeah, I saw them, they were killing all the babies or something like that, and that's it. There's no photographic evidence, obviously, and what they claim as physical evidence, that they sometimes find skulls together and they just pretend that they never picked up a book and didn't know that, countless ancient cultures buried skulls together as just their normal. I mean, the people who invented agriculture did that. So people who don't know about that practice are just showing how illiterate they are historically. Anyway, so this is more lies. I mean, some people might think, oh, well, these are cool lies because they make white Christians look cool and they make everybody else look like shit. Okay, but in a world of lies, there's no, everybody falls. You know, if lies are your thing, downfall is your thing, period. 420. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out what the arms of Papua are. So I'm thinking, you know, in this anthropomorphic avatar from Lascaux, like 20, 30,000 year old painting. So, which is retrograde. So, or, yeah. I mean, this one I flipped it retrograde just to show it more in line with the other comparison. But well, either way, you know, it's like basically that this seems to be one arm, and I think this is one arm. And then this hand is either this, or there's a chance it's like somehow just this little sliver island. And then this one is the arm, and the hand is either this here or it's this. And I guess there's a chance it's this, but that seems more doubtful. So just to kind of show what those would look like, I did some mock-ups. And it's like what tribalist people don't realize is if you have something based on tribalism and skin color and whatever, you know, antagonism based on stuff like that, then it's not based on ethics, and everything not based on ethics will kill and destroy everybody that's part of it. Only ethics, like, you know, survives. Only ethics work in the human world. Everything else turns into a big feeding frenzy. So yeah, this is one possibility with one arm here, and then this being, I guess, that somewhat nearby larger thing as the hand, and then this being this, and then the somewhat nearby larger thing as that hand there. And so there's a good chance that's what it is meant to be. It's interesting that it seems to maybe have little breaks in it, so that could be like between here and there, between here and there, between, you know, anyway. So Australia, it's right next to Australia. Australia, Papua. So this one is basically the same for this, you know, the same thing as the hand and arm on this side, but on this side, instead of the further one as the hand, it's this closer one that's right next to this other island as the hand. So that could certainly fit. I mean, especially the way it is situated right next to that long one could really resemble an to some degree an arm and a hand. So yeah, I don't know, that could very well be it. This is it, black and white. And So yeah, I think that's the same one. So that's the hand and this hand. I mean, it is, these islands are great arms, and they really are right here. Like you can even see the actual, like I blew them up, obviously. I zoomed in on this, and this. But it really is right there. You can see like part of it right there, although its angle is different. And here's the, so I don't know if this is a Neanderthaloid man or a bird man. Hard to really be sure, but for now I'll just consider him a Neanderthaloid man or a Neanderthal with just a really long nose. And then there's this little scoop section, like little roundish indent here, and then the arm. So that works, since this island is right or a little bit off of that peninsula. And then the legs here and the feet here and his dick.